right? Run the thumbs up. Run the thumbs up. Welcome to Bama Football on YouTube. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Run the thumbs up, as I always tell you guys. I appreciate you guys being here this morning. It is Sunday, January 28th. There's a lot to be grateful for and a lot to talk about regarding the Alabama Crimson Tide football team as we move to the back end of January. And boy, has it been busy with Alabama football throughout these last couple of weeks. You have Coach Saban retiring. You have Coach Kalen DeBoer being hired. You have Coach Kalen DeBoer putting his entire staff in place. You have Coach Kalen DeBoer being able to recruit at a very high level, dipping into the transfer portal, bringing out some immediate fills. And then also, guess what he does? He goes and recruits Ryan Williams, the most heavily sought after wide receiver in the entire country, and he brings him into this class of 2024. Yeah, so the approval rating right now of Kalen DeBoer is really high. I mean, couldn't be better right now, to be honest. Really well scripted by the University of Alabama to go after him. Greg Byrne did a great job in terms of putting a plan in place to go after an up-and-coming coach, a coach that just played in the national title game, comes over here, builds his staff, adds some new names to the defensive side of the ball, and away we go to the back end of January, which has really been stellar. What Coach Kalen DeBoer has been doing as of late has been developing new relationships, right? Shaking hands, meeting new coaches, offering prospects that were offered from the old coaching staff, and now setting it up with the new coaching staff. Love the fact that he's re-offering these guys, giving them a chance to understand, look, come be a part of what's continued to be one of the biggest brands, if not the biggest brand in all of college football. Understand the gravity that Coach Kalen DeBoer has done little here, but now it's his opportunity to get out and resell the program, which doesn't need a lot to be resold, but it's just, this is Coach Saban's team, right? And it was. And now, as you see the changing of the guards, it went really, really smooth. Good morning, Ray. What's up? I see you inside the comment box. Think about becoming a fan funder of this YouTube channel. You like the content. You have your full-time job. This is mine. Go ahead and hit the $2.99 link above this video. And we really appreciate it, as low as $2.99, which is just 10 cents a day to support this Bama Football on YouTube channel. Our goal, honestly, is 10 fan funders per day. All right. So we are building. And I appreciate you guys being here and liking the content. Good morning to you guys. What's up, Bailey, Sarah, Chris? I see you inside the comment box. Y'all was tripping on the recruiting. All right. Ravens. Ted saying something about the Ravens. The Ravens defense is salty. All right, let's get into topic one. And then on the back end at point number 3, I want to take your calls. Chat, by the way, chat is called undefeated. So if you hear me refer to undefeated, that is me asking chat a question. Chat is undefeated because they're undefeated. All right. They just are. They know everything. And I'm not being like, like it's true. You'll see. All right. So undefeated is called chat. Chat means a great deal to me. All right, let's talk Jalen Milroe. And I think a good starting place for Jalen Milroe, because the reason I want to start out with Jalen Milroe is the fact that Jalen Milroe had a football camp yesterday that everybody saw. I mean, was here in Tuscaloosa at Hillcrest High School. And he was working with, it was a youth football camp. It was completely sold out. And I started by saying this yesterday. People love Jalen Milroe, like absolutely love Jalen Milroe. And I think you should too. A returning quarterback at the University of Alabama, and I think when you look to the stats last year, we found out, what type of quarterback he is with a lot of weapons around him, with an up-and-coming offensive coordinator, but the development, you still need to work to develop a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. So you start out the beginning of the season, and everybody can rewind to that first game against Middle Tennessee, where he was 13 of 18. His first touchdown was, do you remember this? Chat, undefeated. His first touchdown at the University of Alabama was a bad snap. It was a bad snap. He gets the ball, he makes everybody miss, and he gets into the end zone, right? Austin Mack, quarterback number 1. I don't know about that. But I think Austin Mack is going to do it. I mean, he's an absolute unit. Back to Jalen Milroe. He finished out that game with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then that's kind of when the Jalen Milroe story begins. You go into that Texas game, he was 14 of 27. He threw 2 interceptions. And from those interceptions, people, that's what people held on to for a majority of the season. Now, we've been talking kind of back and forth all season long. Was it kind of the offensive protection for Jalen Milroe? Was it the play, the schematics from Tommy Rees, or was it Jalen Milroe? And an ability to maybe not being able to see reads. His deep ball got fire right through this first quarter, let's call it, of the season. We was 17-21 against Mississippi. He was, and that was a really nice performance. One touchdown, and then against Mississippi State, didn't throw a touchdown, but was just 10-12. Right, kind of took it to the ground game. Texas A&M, that's a game where him and Jermaine Burton, really caught fire. And that was a game where he was 21 of 33 with 3 touchdowns, all to Jermaine Burton. And that was a really big game for Alabama football. You look to the back end of this season, he was 16-24 against Auburn. And everybody knows from that game, it was the gravedigger, right? 4th and 31, throws the laser of the touchdown. I think his biggest game last year was against Georgia. And here's why. I think Georgia's defense was elite. They had a really good plan in place. And the back end of the season, you saw that Jalen Milroe faced, and the Alabama offense faced, 2 defenses that had high-quality corners, right? High-quality secondaries. And you see his names and you see his stats be directly impacted because of those secondaries that they face, right? Georgia, he was only 13-23 with 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. The thing about that game is he did everything he could. He was not going to turn over the football in that game. And in the end, he puts together a brilliant performance in the fourth quarter, leads his team into the end zone, able to win the SEC title game, right? After the game, he's like, look, we beat your number 1. And, where does that put us? And I think, he did struggle with the game against Georgia, 100%. I mean, his deep ball wasn't there, but he willed his team to win that game. I think in Michigan, and I'm curious to get your take inside the comment box about Jalen Milroe, this Michigan game, what would you grade his performance? Was a lot of that on the offensive line? I mean, what was he sacked? 5 times? And how did you feel about the schematics from Tommy Rees? How much was it on Seth McLaughlin at the center position? The 4th and 3 that everybody remembers, right? Did the ball being snapped low really impact the ending of that game, right? Coach Saban, I remember him talking about the last play of the 4th and 3 that they called the timeout before, and then they went out. They didn't like the formation, and it was his job. They didn't do a good job of basically audibling out of that particular play, right? Yeah, he had that fumble too, Chris. I think that was one of the only times he fumbled this entire season. Right, as you see the attempts, he had 161 attempts with 531 rushing yards. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. DR too is like, that's what I'm asking you. Is like, was it the offensive line? Did they not do a good job protecting him? Did they not do a good job snapping the football to him? Was it on Tommy Rees, and that contributed to him being under heat? Right. So going into this season, and we've talked about the quarterback room before, there's 4 quarterbacks on this roster, right? You had Tyler Buckner transfer out. You had Eli Holston transfer out, and you had Julian Sain transfer out. Guys coming in are Austin Mack, right? So now you have Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan, Austin Mack. In my opinion, I think that okay, let's see this. Demonley. I'm tired of hearing about the offense. That is only good news. Teams need defense to compete in the SEC. Yeah, and we'll talk about that in just a second because I think you hit on a really good point. I'm going to have a Q&A session with Chat Undefeated here in a little bit because I think like if you come in to the SEC thinking you're just going to, turn into, scoring 50 points a game and allow the defense to score like 30, 40 points, that's not going to cut it here in the SEC. So when I look at the quarterback room, and if you could pull up the headlines again, T, I think the thing with Jalen Milroe is what I am curious to see is the development, not necessarily during the springtime. And I don't even think we're going to learn too much during the springtime because I think they'll keep it pretty vanilla. But I want to see what Ryan Grubb can do from today to September with Jalen Milroe. I want to be able to see what he can do with the entire quarterback room, clearly. But what type of wrinkles is he going to bring? How is he going to be able to utilize Jalen Milroe, right, in terms of what he can do, just his natural intangibles, being the fastest player on the field, big dude, getting the football out to different weapons on the outside? And how are the other quarterbacks going to develop as well? right? This is a lot of time right now that Ryan Grubb has to work with these quarterbacks. And from what I understand, Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb kind of soft QB whispers. And Alabama hasn't really had a quarterback whisperer in quite some time, to be honest. Kind of since the departure of Alex Mortensen. Ryan Grubb is a top offensive mind, has really done a good job working with quarterbacks in the past. Everything is there for Jalen Milroe to have an incredible season. An offense that could be probably the most dynamic offense in all of college football. I get it. Like when you look to the offensive line, look, I don't think there's a lot of people who know exactly what is going to be set in stone with the offensive line come the beginning of the season. Yeah, there's guys for the offensive line for sure. But in terms of like a solidified front five, we don't have that right now. We're kind of just throwing guys in different positions, seeing what makes sense. We know that Parker Brailsford probably going to be the center. I say probably, right? You have Jaden Roberts probably going to be the guard. I don't know. I was talking to Will the Scout, and he said he could be bumped out to tackle. With the departures of Caden Proctor, who's going to swap to left tackle. Elijah Pritchett, where's Tyler Rooker going to go? Some people said that he could go back and be a tackle. What's up, Len? I see you inside the comment box. Thanks for being here. Patrick saying, with the whole new coaching staff, we'll see where Jalen Milroe has any shortcomings very fast. I think so. Yeah. Hey, Corey, what's up? Thank you for becoming a fan funder. 9 more to hit our goal today. How do you become a fan funder? Go up to the top, hit the hyperlink if you like the content. Thanks very much for supporting the channel. Our next threshold is $7.50 right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Papa, what's up? Can't wait to see Dylan Lonergan during A-Day. Me too. By the way, he's not playing football, or he's not playing baseball. I know he came over here as kind of a 2-sport athlete. Charlie Potter of Bama Online, he spoke to the baseball team and reported that he is not playing baseball this year. Not surprised. And I've told this story before, many times, and I won't spend too much time talking about it this morning, is the fact that there was a large percentage of the coaching staff last season that wanted Dylan Lonergan to be the starting quarterback over Jalen Milroe. The guy to override all that was Coach Saban. That's a true story. You can talk to any of the coaches or people kind of in the know as well. And that certainly went down. Coach Saban believed in Jalen Milroe from the jump. And kind of when we look back to that season, that third game, whatever it was against South Florida, we learned a lot. Clearly that Tyler Buckner wasn't going to be the guy, and that Ty Simpson, could put together a game to win. By the way, I like Ty Simpson too. I know we haven't really talked about him that much, but yeah, that's a true story, 100% about Dylan Lonergan. I talked to somebody really close to the program. They were shocked that Julian Sain left this early. Figured that he would at least compete in spring, but we all know that NIL, what Ohio State has been doing, they can do whatever they want in the transfer portal. Austin Mack coming in, didn't really know about him, but said that Dylan Lonergan, a lot of people should be talking about Dylan Lonergan. And that's like no disrespect to Ty Simpson, because I saw a lot of positive things from Ty Simpson as well during the game against Kentucky. I'm sure you guys did too, right? Let me ask you, chat. Undefeated. Were you impressed with Ty Simpson against Kentucky? Like the limited reps that he saw, were you impressed with him? Troll Smasher. When is Troll Smasher going to happen? Corey asked. I think it'll happen sooner than later. We're kind of putting together all the pieces. But right, chat? I just asked chat about Ty Simpson. Watch. Yeah, I was impressed 100%. See? Yeah. And if he was going, I think he could win a lot of games here at Alabama. I think he could be the guy here at Alabama. It's just you have Jalen Milroe coming back. And he's going to be the starting quarterback going into the season. Now, the coach's jobs is not to play the player who is the most popular, is to play the player that can run this offense the best and to win football games. That is what they are coached on, right? And people talking about Ryan Williams and his painted fingernails. Look, the teenager, I don't know. I have a teenager. His fingernails are not his fingernails are not painted, but kids are all over. I mean, my son and my daughter, completely different people, right? One keeps their room spotless. The other one, almost have to help clean the room daily. I don't know. What is he, like 16 years old? I didn't even know that was a new trend until someone pointed it out last night. Whatever. But I know this, the kid's an absolute baller for sure. Man, we were looking, because we looked at Jeremy Bernard's tape, and then we played Ryan Williams tape the other day. It was crazy. Joseph saying he doesn't know the playbook. I don't, I don't know. I think they're kind of all starting over with a new playbook, right? Under a new coach. I don't know if this was particularly the case. I find it kind of hard to believe that because his dad coaches at UT Martin. You would think he's like a student of the game. I don't know. I hadn't really heard that. Lonergan is going to be the next Mac Jones. Maybe. He's got to play this year in some capacity, right? Otherwise, you got to think that one of these quarterbacks hits the transfer portal. All right. So just wanted to start out talking about Jalen Milroe, kind of where we're at from that standpoint with him coming in and him having the football camp. A lot of people are behind him. I'm on the Jalen Milroe train as well. I think that, if they can put a plan in place to protect him, they can work on development. I think that Jalen Milroe has an incredible season, to be honest. Just how can he not? I mean, now that he started in 13 games, I think the year before he played in 8 games. So, yeah, he's I think he'll do a lot. And I think if the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, is creative enough with this offense, I mean, look at all the weapons. We've showed the offense, in several different setups, not to mention that they have an incredible quarterback or incredible running back in Justice Haynes and Jan Miller and Richard Young. Add on, Daniel Hill and Kevin Riley, and weapons. All right. Expectations for this team. T, can we put up the schedule, please, if you have it? What's up, Rowan? Thank you very much for being a fan funder. What's up, Jeremy? Thank you for being here. We need an arm at quarterback. What's up, man? I see you guys. Deuce Wayne, what's up? Option run game. Finna go crazy. Okay, so what are the expectations of this Alabama Crimson Tide football team? Well, of course, you're like, duh, they're high. Yeah, they are high. Let's kind of walk you through the schedule and talk about realistic expectations. Now, we don't even know who's going to be the starting guards or tackles or whatever because we're so far out and this 4-2-5, who's going to start, who's going to come in. I mean, it's going to be funny to watch these videos, even in like August, considering that Alabama is definitely going to have some more transfer pieces on the defensive side of the ball, right? I 100% love how Kyle just answered that Hollywood Williams question, then immediately pivoted back to a larger topic. Love it. Nah, thank you, man. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a fan funder of Bama Football on YouTube. So when you look to this season, and look, we've gone over a lot of schedules so far, and this is something that we're probably going to continue to do rocking forward into February and March, is examining this new wave of college football, because these schedules for everybody are really, really challenging. Really challenging, okay? I thought it was interesting to see that TJ Finley committed to Western Kentucky. That would be the first game that Alabama plays. They've faced him before. 6'7". What is he, 6'7"? 220 pounds? Something like that, right? So he's coming in. That'll be your first quarterback that you face. And then you have South Florida, right, on September 7th. Let me ask you, undefeated, can you help me out with this? Is the quarterback for South Florida returning this season? I liked him. And I really like the way that South Florida utilized their offense last year. They spread the field the entire 53 yards, side to side. And then their quarterback, he can make you miss. And he was a load. Is he coming back? What's up, Jamal? AJ, what's up, man? See you inside the comment box. Yeah, Jamal, what's up, man? Those guys do a really good job. They had me on one night, and it was crazy because and they used to cover Georgia, and then they've kind of changed their formatting, which is cool. But they had me go on, and they were trying to basically like get me to like fold in the fact that Alabama wouldn't beat Georgia, and I kept on pressing the fact that they were going to, and then they beat Georgia, which was pretty funny. But those guys have a really good setup, and I like it. So Jamal is saying, hey, Kyle, gotta go watch the film guy break down Grubb's offense. Going to be hard to stop. See, this is exactly it. And I've said this a lot of times, and kind of getting back to my point one and kind of leading into expectations is that, he's coming. It says he's coming back. Yeah, that quarterback was a monster. I'm telling you. So this offense, at least from the coaching personnel, is a big upgrade over the last coaching staff. This isn't sunshine pumping. This is fact. Tommy Rees he wasn't it. He's going to get there. Now he's a tight ends coach at the Browns, but like Ryan Grubb is an upgrade from Tommy Rees. Holman Wiggins, Jamarcus Shepard, I don't know. That might be a draw. Scott Huff coming in over Eric Wolford, I think that's an upgrade as well. So you look to who's going to be coaching the quarterbacks, Ryan Grubb. That's an upgrade over Tommy Rees as well. Tommy Rees will get there. He just doesn't have that experience just yet. I think Coach Kalen DeBoer is a more of an offensive-minded coach. There's a video going around talking about Kalen DeBoer and his philosophy in terms of offense. And then you pair that with the Alabama offensive weapons, it's going to be dangerous for sure, 100%. So let's talk about expectations. So you look to Western Kentucky. Got a dub right there. You got South Florida coming back. I think you got up to a really hot start, and I think things are rolling really well for Alabama at this point in time. Then you travel to Wisconsin to Camp Randall. Remember, Colin Hitchler is the safeties coach who will be over here coaching for the University of Alabama in their secondary, right? This year you have 2 secondary coaches, and you don't have an outside linebacker coach. So, Delvin, what's up, man, with the 10th spot? Is there any chance of Alabama players coming out of the transfer portal? Delvin in Chicago. Is there any chance of Alabama players coming out of the transfer portal? Like in terms of like leaving, coming back. So right now, like where we're at, Delvin, in terms of like the transfer portal, is basically it is players could still definitely enter the transfer portal, but since school has started and I think players are starting to really buy into Coach Kalen DeBoer, you're going to see less leakage going into the next couple of months. Now, the next transfer portal window opens up on April 15th, where I do see players from Alabama leaving. Maybe they don't vibe with the coach. Maybe they don't, wherever they are, maybe they get a different NIL sponsorship. I don't know. But that said, Alabama is going to bring in players as well. Delvin, I appreciate it, man. And thanks for when you call in to the show. Thank you so much. You go into this Georgia game. Now, last year, things worked out well for Alabama to actually have, most of their challenging games here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, right? You had LSU at home. You had Tennessee at home. You had Arkansas at home. You had Ole Miss at home. You had Texas at home. That schedule last year really helped this team out because that team wasn't ready for that schedule towards the back end of the season. Like they got more matured in the back end, but that was a challenging schedule for sure. A lot will be on the line against Georgia. I don't know where Georgia will be by this point in time, but I know that they've won their last 30 out of 31 games. They do have a challenging schedule as well. I think they played Texas. Let me do a quick research. Georgia football schedule. Just to kind of look at their opening schedule, because I do think that they played Texas early on in the season, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm reading Georgia's schedule right now. They open up with Clemson, then they take on Tennessee Tech. That's who they play. They play Clemson, then they play Kentucky, then they have 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama, just as Alabama has 2 weeks to prepare for Georgia. Then they take on Auburn, Mississippi, and then at Texas. Okay, that's how Georgia shakes out. Last year, their schedule was absolutely soft. Okay. Thank you, Tom G. I appreciate it. And thank you for being a fan funder of this YouTube channel. AJ, man, you need to become a fan funder of the YouTube channel, bro. Hit the hyperlink above this screen. As low as $2.99. I don't know what the early line on it is on a game like this, but I got to think that Georgia comes in probably as, will they be the favorite here at Bryant-Denny Stadium? I don't know. Monumental game. Let's say they win that game, okay? Smook says that they're going to run through Georgia. He's really optimistic about it. He's been pretty hot lately. Then you have a trip to Nash Vegas. Then you take on South Carolina. So best case scenario on this early side, right? So -3.5. Thank you, Jarvis. Wow. See, I figured Georgia might be the favorite in that game, all right? But let's just say they're able to win that game. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They at the midway point, they're 6-0. These are the games that are going to be ultra challenging is on this right column of the schedule. And we're talking expectations for this year's team. To Tennessee is going to be very, very challenging. Look, I get it. Going up to Camp Randall, that's going to be a tough road game for various reasons. But Coach Kalen DeBoer, and I get it, a lot of success wherever he's gone. He has not played in the third weekend of October. And if Alabama is 6-0 at this point in time during the season, they could be like a, I don't know, a 1, 2, or 3 type team. Going up to Knoxville is going to be challenging. Thank you very much for becoming a fan funder. We appreciate it. 8 more to go is our target for today. We want to be able to get 10 fan funders a day. So we got 2 in the tank. We got some super chats. Don't stop with the super chats. We appreciate those as well. So thank you very much for supporting the YouTube channel. Then you have Missouri. Missouri could definitely be a trap game. And that game is here in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Eli Drinkwitz, man, gotta like him as a coach. He had Missouri punching above their weight last year. Did a damn good job. This game will also be challenging. So this is a really difficult 3-game stretch that we're talking about right here. On the road to Tennessee, Missouri. But the good thing is you have 2 weeks to prep for a road matchup at Death Valley. I promise you, Kalen DeBoer has seen a ton of football. He hasn't seen anything like Death Valley, especially if Alabama is 8-0 at this point in time. That is, look, it's a different experience. It's not Oregon. It's not Oregon State. Wherever else, it's different. Conrad, I think absolutely. Asking about Jabbar Muhammad, who, by the way, committed to Oregon yesterday. Yeah, 100%. Think of what it came down to. Oregon, Texas, and Bama. I think he would have fit in nicely here at Alabama. I think he would have challenged to start, considering that Alabama needs someone from the secondary to come in, right, at the corner position, start in 18 games. But I think, Texas knew that it was going to be between Texas and Oregon. I don't know how much this guy got paid, but he got paid. And Oregon is going to be up there in terms of the arms race because they have Nike, right? We know that. I don't necessarily think that's a gigantic loss for Alabama, in my opinion. But, yeah, he would have came here and added some quality depth for sure. Talking about Jabbar Muhammad, who committed to Oregon yesterday. That'll be the 3rd school that he's been at. Started out at Oklahoma State, then went to Washington, and then will go to Oregon. I agree. Not a huge loss. Not really tripping out about that. Okay, so look, Tennessee, LSU, the last time Alabama was, in Knoxville and in Baton Rouge, they lost to those 2 games. Does the past dictate the future? No. They're challenging. We all know that. Is it possible to support your channel? Yeah. What's up, Walter White, man? If you hit the hyperlink above this channel, you can become a fan funder as low as $2.99. Appreciate it. Heisenberg, what's up, man? And then you go to Oklahoma. Look at that. Brett Venables, Josh Heupel, Brian Kelly, Eli Drinkwitz, Brett Venables, and then Hugh Freeze, the boogeyman. That's a hell of a right side schedule, right? So when we're talking expectations, this is a tough team. It's a tough schedule. You got a lot of players coming back. It's going to be a really good team. We know that. It's Alabama. But that is a very difficult right side of the schedule. All right, so chat, undefeated. This is what I'm going to ask you. Expectations for this team, regular season. How many wins do you see here? I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to say, okay, so we're getting early indications for 10 and 2. I'm going to say 10 as well. And keep note of this. There's no more East and West in the SEC. I'm going to keep saying that until we literally get there. And everybody's schedule is challenging. So how the SEC championship works now is the number 1 and number 2 team play, just as the Big 12 played. Tom G, our Big 12 fans, how did you like that format? Just the 1 and 2 playing. Papa, what's up? Appreciate you becoming a fan funder. Really appreciate you. We got 3, 7 more to go. That's our goal today, is to hit 10 fan funders. All right. We appreciate it. Okay. So it kind of looks like a mix of I would say 10 and 2 seems to be what chat wants. in terms of like expectations. All right. Tom G is saying, because I asked him, he's a Big 12 fan, love the format, but got to watch out for those tiebreakers. Damn good point. And this is going to be really interesting right here because of the fact that the SEC is completely loaded. We've looked at the schedules before. There's going to be a lot of teams at the end of the season that have the same record. Just wait. You think that, we had hot topics this last year. The East and West, in my opinion, and I get it, they were gauntlets at times based on kind of the talent within the East or the West. But now, man, tiebreakers, all these teams having the same record, I mean, ultra challenging. Okay, so just wanted to kind of go over the expectations. All right, T, if we can go back to the headlines page. And I hope you guys like the content. I hope you guys are vibing here on Sunday morning. Got some really big NFL games going on. I sometimes talk about Wingstop, right? Going to secure the bag. But today I think we load up on the jerseys. My son, he has jerseys, like 49er jerseys, so he gives them out to all of us, and we go down to B-Dubs. And we know the people at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we go in there and we chill. And honestly, like it's something that I really look forward to, for real, right? If you're a parent out there, it's good to wrap with them. Plus, I got all my groceries loaded up on yesterday. I went to Target and got the kids. Kalen needed a comforter, and Lacey needed some new sheets, so we took care of them. So going into the week strong. Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you so much. All right. Now is your chance, chat, aka Undefeated, to ask some questions. I want to do a Sunday Q&A with you. So go ahead and post your questions on the board. And then I'm going to ask about the biggest challenges for Coach KD, and then I'm going to take your calls. So I am open. If you can, T, if you can get a border up on the screen. Q&A starts now with the Undefeated. I think I want to have more Q&As with chat. Bama fanboys are delusional. I like Buffalo Wild Wings atmosphere better than their wings. You know what? The food is okay. It's not the best food. I'll admit that. You got to be able to order correctly, right? Like the wings at bomb hours are a lot better. 100%. All right. Sunday Q&A starts now. Best workout to bulk. I do have a weight gaining protein, and you got to be careful because, you hit that for like a week, you will add 10. You just got to load up. Take the kids to Rounders. Yeah, Kalen will be going to Rounders soon. It's sad to think about it, but it's true. All right, here we go. Tom G in with the question. If you could put like a Q like by your question so I could see them in chat when you guys are adding them, I'd appreciate it. Would a 10-3 team that lost championship game make the top 12? You probably see. The thing about it is when you go into this new SEC format is I think that you definitely are going to see the weight and the strength of the SEC overall, right? And what I'm saying is, like, if you watch the schedule release of the SEC, the ACC became more irrelevant like by the second. It was crazy, right? Like it was incredibly crazy to see just how like irrelevant the ACC became. They were watching like the SEC schedule release. That was crazy. All right, next question up. And thanks to you, could star the questions, and then that way I could see him. Really good idea. Appreciate you. Do you think Jalen Milroe will be the starter? I love Milroe, but I can't see him. But I can see him losing the job. Yeah, I think he goes into the season 100% as our starter. I don't think there's going to be any way that we start out the season with Jalen Milroe not as the quarterback. Now, I've said this before. It is Coach Kalen DeBoer's job to play the best player. If Jalen Milroe cannot make the reads, if he cannot facilitate this high-performing offense, if he cannot drive the Ferrari, then what you do, no matter what coach you are, you have to start somebody else. You have to give the keys to somebody else, whether that's in the beginning of the season. And I don't like this whole like 2 quarterback type system, platooning or whatever. Pick a quarterback, play that quarterback, because what it does, and I think one of the things that you can be critical of Coach Saban last year is the fact that, how we never had a quarterback. And I think that created a lot of division that is still kind of carrying over into this season. It still kind of has lasting ramifications. It split the team. It split the fans. People were like, trying to be quarterback from the sidelines, telling coach who to play. I think overall, like his chess move was to show that Jalen Milroe was the guy that could get them to as far as they could go. But pick a guy, stick with them, and that's it. You're the coach. Your responsibility here at the University of Alabama is to play the best player. So if Jalen Milroe isn't it, then you go with another quarterback, just like Coach Saban did a couple years ago when he had to make Tua the quarterback, right? And what did Jalen Milroe do? Or what did Jalen Hurts do? Did he cry about it? No. He went to the bench, he waited his turn, and he came back and helped the team win an SEC title game. It was dope. All right, post your questions inside chat, and I'll get to them as I can. All right, got another question coming in. Let's see. Oh, there's a lot of them. Okay. Does this with Michigan? They'll hit harder with sanctions. I don't. This is a tough question to read, but I think, long story short, I think that Michigan will have some sanctions in some capacity, but probably like slap on the wrist. Same thing that like Florida State's going to get. I don't think it will really impact Michigan that much. I think considering that we're like in the with the wild, wild west of college football, I don't think it really matters. Keith, what's up, man? I appreciate it, man. That's a dope avatar. Looks like you got a really nice dog there. That's cool. Dogs make the world better. Everybody knows that. So got 2 Frenchies myself. And love it. All right. Are we headed for a 2017 Tua Hurts situation at quarterback for 2024? A lot of coaches thought Tua should have started during that season. I think that might be a narrative that people talk about for sure. Is that I don't know why, but we always feel like the backup is like the better guy, right? Or the freshman is like the best guy for the job. Right now, the best guy for the job is Jalen Milroe. And going into the season, like, I hope that the coaches focus on him as a starter. And I hope that they focus on Ty Simpson as, the next guy in line, or Dylan Lonergan, or they have a competition for that along with Austin Mack. I think there's a competition for all positions, and there should be. Competition makes every single position better. I would be like shocked if we go out to spring practice and it's not Jalen Milroe working with the ones. Like, that's going to happen. I think that there is competition at the quarterback position for sure. Dylan Lonergan's a baller. Ty Simpson's a baller. I don't really know too much about this Austin Mack guy or if he's ready to play. But yeah, you better be able to, I don't know. Competition makes it better. 100%. But I think we got to this point with Jalen Milroe that he was so scared to make a bad decision that it sometimes impacted his game, right? You don't want a quarterback to be looking over your shoulder, but you got to know that if you're not doing your job overall, you're going to get pulled and somebody else has got to go in. It's the same for any type of job. If there's somebody outperforming you, you got to put that person in place to lead the company, the organization, in this particular case, the team. Appreciate the question, Keith. Samuel, what's up? Do you see Jalen finishing the season being QB1? Refer to that question that I just said, but I appreciate the question. I think that's one of the biggest questions that people have, clearly, is like, can Jalen Milroe keep this job? If they build the offense around him, if he does a great job leading this team, using his arms, his legs, if the offensive line blocks for him, why not? I mean, the guy showed that he can perform at the highest level. I appreciate it, Samuel. Thank you so much. Do you see any players that left Bama hitting the portal again in April, trying to return to Bama? Not necessarily. Some guys like withdrawing their name from the portal. I'm trying to think if there's a guy that like hasn't picked his destination. Good question. Sometimes like you'll see a player hit the portal and then take his name out of the portal. I can't think of anyone right now. I think most of those guys that left Alabama have landing spots, and good for them. I mean, who doesn't want a player from the University of Alabama? Florida State picked up 5. How many did Texas pick up? Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Blackshire, Isaiah Bond. That's 3. Last year, TCU picked up like 3 or 4. So, I mean, people want Alabama players. I mean, they did before they went to Alabama, right? Do you see Jalen Milroe being quarterback number 1? I love Milroe. Can see him losing the job. Again, we talked about that. Thanks for the question, health and wealth. Question, Kyle, do you think that Grubb coming in, that he will help Milroe improve his reading ability? Yeah. He's like, supposed to be a quarterback developer / quarterback whisperer. So yeah, I'm definitely betting on that fact that he helps all the quarterbacks in the room. I think the quarterbacks think about Jalen Milroe's last two offensive coordinators, Bill O'Brien and Tommy Rees. How would you grade those guys in terms of like a 1 through 10? Like those guys aren't like in no disrespect to like Bill O'Brien and Tommy. It's just like I think we all know that those guys were coaching the quarterbacks, and I think that limited the growth with those guys. I really do. All right, Q, could you explain the 3 safety positions in the 4-2-5, please? Yeah, so the safety positions, basically you have like a floating safety over the top, which I think could potentially be Tony Mitchell. And then you have a Malachi Moore that could be like that star position / safety that you also have. You have that flanked by 2 corners. Let's say Damani Jackson and Jalen Mbakwe for right now. And then your additional safety that can be bumped out would be Devontae Smith. So you have, those would be your 5 defensive backs, at least for right now. I mean, I have no idea if they're going to rotate in and out. One of the things that Devontae Smith said, who's a safety, is he said that most of the guys within the secondary can play different positions. Now, of course, he was talking about his roster last year, but I think we're going to definitely see that with the defense. So think about it like this. Your outside linebackers, because you don't even have an outside linebackers coach now. Those guys will kind of be down in the dirt. Like a Keon Keeley, a Q Robinson, Yanze Pierre, Q Russo, and then you're depending on fronts formations down and distance, you have the rotating defensive linemen, Tim Keenan, Tim Smith, Jaheim Otis, Jamirian Lathan, those type of guys rotating in. So when you look at kind of the snapshot, and then your inside linebackers are Deontay Lawson, Jahad Campbell, it's pretty good defense, right? And they did play some 4-2-5 last year based on different sets. Kyle, what do you think about Alabama Merchandise Store getting a loot box lottery where you can pay $19.90 a month to get a chance to win tickets, games signed? Yeah, all those ideas would be up for Yay Alabama. I think they're trying to get back into build it up, and I think they are probably not so much from Yay Alabama. Again, I have no idea, but I think they're building up and getting into this arms race. So I don't think I think probably at the beginning of the January it seemed like Alabama was really behind, but then I don't think Ryan Williams came here for free. Do you? Samuel, what's up? How many freshmen do you see getting a lot of playing time this year? I think most of those guys would be on the defensive side of the ball, to be honest. Just because you had 11 guys leave the secondary. We've talked about that secondary group coming in, right? Zay Minty, Ren Morgan. On the offensive side of the ball, I don't know where, Hampton fits in. Ryan Williams, Jalen Mbakwe. Yeah, freshmen are going to play this year for sure. I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else on the outside of the ball or freshmen coming in where we could see them getting a playing time. I came up with this last night. It's kind of like this heavy package, elephant package, where you have Jalen Milroe at quarterback, you have Daniel Hill at running back, and you have Robbie Oots, right? If Daniel Hill is really 240 pounds and we're in the red zone and Robbie Oots is 260 and Jalen Milroe is 230, talk about that tush push in that package, right? With NIL transfer portals, no division, the SEC 12-team playoff, do you think college football is ruined like I do? I don't know. I think maybe be able to better answer that next season. I think what is truly impacting college football is kind of the rules and the timing windows of the transfer portal and, kind of it's open for business with NIL. So Coach Saban talks a lot about kind of the competitive imbalance and wanted rules and parameters around that. Right now, with the thing that is scary, and I think something that has always happened is what Caden Proctor said recently in terms of the tampering, right? He said that when he was struggling, that Iowa reached out to him. And I said this before on my show, is if he's getting hit up when he's struggling, think about what guys are getting hit up when they're balling out of control. So this is what I'm scared of is yeah, you see all these commitment and kind of locked in messages now, locked in today, but are you bought tomorrow? Be interesting to kind of keep receipts of all the guys that are I'm all Bama, I want to be here, but next year when they get a gigantic NIL deal from somewhere else, are they going to leave? Right? I mean, look at Isaiah Bond. Can someone find Isaiah Bond? What did he say when he committed to Alabama a couple years ago? 100% committed. He gets a Lambo or, someone else's Lambo, 750 or whatever he got, and he's out the door. What kind of present do you expect to see from Coach Saban throughout the season? This is a damn good question. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be like watching through the glass or like up in, the tower over Coach Kalen DeBoer. I would like to think of him kind of behind the scenes in terms of managing this NIL, not only for Alabama, but for college football, using his mind and his vision to be able to help the game get back on track, but also facilitating deals with NILs. Like, think of him as a kind of a liaison in a sense, like a connection between players in the NFL, helping them kind of pay it forward to the University of Alabama, like some of their contract in a sense to help fund NIL, right? I mean, these players really, I mean, no one owes anybody anything really, but a lot of these NFL players wouldn't be where they're at if it wasn't for Coach Saban. Just as you saw, what was it? CJ Stroud kind of paying it back to Ohio State. I think you could do something like that in terms of what Alabama could do. And if former Alabama football players want, and I'm sure there are some already helping with the NIL, then it's over. I mean, talk about the arms race. What is it? Alabama football players have raised or put together like $1 billion, something like that. Our number one wide receiver this year. I'm going to say either Kobe Prentice. I think, look, Kobe Prentice is like, we don't talk about him enough. He has speed. I call him Kobe Sticky Hands Prentice. The guy catches everything thrown his way. He's underrated. I could see him definitely catching for, 800 yards, 1,000 yards. Kendrick Law, depending on how they utilize him, I just don't think he's had an opportunity to really eat. This Jeremy Bernard, I think, will be, more than serviceable. What are you going to do with Ryan Williams? What are you going to do with Jalen Hampton on offense? Emmanuel Henderson. There's so many guys at wide receiver, but I don't know. This is a damn good question. I think a safe bet for me is to say Kobe Prentice. What about you guys? All right, Kyle, who do you think will be the wide receivers with Milroe to finish the season? Do you think Milroe has talent to run the system? Yeah, I do. I answered that a couple questions up. Thanks for the question, Chris. Think about becoming a fan funder. Yeah, I think that Jalen does have the talent to run the system. He has a lot of time to work with Grubb and the offensive components. So, yeah, and he's got, I mean, you're basically like stepping into a Ferrari already and just driving it, right? Ryan Grubb is one of the top offensive minds. I mean, it would be crazy to see this offense go backwards. This offense is going to be much better this coming season. Bill effing Murray. Do you think Grubb may use Milroe as a running back if he uses one of the other quarterbacks instead? No. I do think that Jalen Milroe has probably the best running ability after Justice Haynes on this team. In terms of Jalen Milroe is more north and south. In my opinion, he doesn't necessarily have that escapability that Bryce Young had. Right? Bryce Young was like a ninja. They called him the gingerbread man. I think north and south, Jalen Milroe, you can't stop him. I think what happens is, they can find a way to utilize his speed, and which they've done already. I mean, he clocked out at 24 miles an hour last year. Design some stuff around that ability, but I don't think they put him at running back. It was crazy. A couple years ago, I think his freshman year at the Sugar Bowl, was it? Chat, undefeated, remind me. Did we see Jalen Milroe catching passes? Oh, people want to see my dogs? Yeah, let's get a picture of the French Bulldogs. Oh, yeah, this is them. Yep, that's them. So do we have another one, T, where you can see them too? But they're like connected at the hip. Oh, there they are. Can you zoom in? All right, so this is Pearl on the left, and this is Peach on the right. So Peach and Pearl. Those are the this is Pearl. She's a tiny little Frenchie. So Peach is like super athletic. Think of her as like a 5-star. She's kind of like she's got a lot of athleticism. She's probably like a 4 or 5-star in terms of like athleticism. And then this one is not an athlete at all. Like 0% athlete. She doesn't chase like a tennis ball. I saw her playing with a toy like one time, but she's more made for like cuddling. And she's just hilarious. And she's tenacious though. So she's not scared to her and Peach like go head to head. They're always snarling, fighting. You can't even watch like, if I pull away to watch TV, sometimes I have to. They cannot be in my studio office because they're too snarly. All right. Back to the questions. All right, health and wealth. Can you get Pearl off so I can focus? Do you see Ryan Grubb being the Alabama? Do you see Ryan Grubb being at Alabama after this upcoming season? I can see Ryan Grubb being a head coach. 100%. That's the thing. It's like there's so many coaches that come over here as kind of a landing, spot and then go to other places. So yeah, I think Ryan Grubb, I think his message to Washington told us a lot. Like he felt he was going to get that job. He probably should have got that job. Just as Michigan turned the keys over to Jerome Moore, I think the same thing should have happened to Grubb. But I'm glad he's here at Alabama for the players' sake and for the fans' sake. All right, another question. And Milroe could be like Tebow role in 2006, even if somebody else takes over QB run. Thoughts? You got to find a way to utilize Milroe. I think that he'll be able to keep the quarterback job. If there's some sort of situation where somebody else overtakes it, I think he is a good enough athlete to play a different position, but he's a quarterback, like plain and simple. So if he loses the job, I think he's just going to be on the bench up until, if there's somebody else who is the guy, then Jalen Milroe will transfer. But I think he's going to lead this team, and I think you guys will see why. Maybe not so much in A-Day, but I think when, he's a proven winner. Like he wins games and he has experience, a lot more experience than he did coming into this last season. All right, Lynn, what's up? I appreciate the continued support. Kyle, are you nervous about our defensive recruiting? That being because of our ex-players chat and what's losing recruits, and our coach DeBoer had okay, so like a defensive recruiting. All right, thanks, Lynn. So you don't have a defensive prospect on board other than Noah Carter for the class of 2024 under Coach KD. Super early. The defense has to be a continued focal point. I do like the fact how they went after Noah Carter on the defensive side of the ball, because if that showcases us the type of athlete that you're going to go after on the defensive side of the ball, I'm excited about it. Within the 4-2-5 frame, I mean, Noah Carter could play a lot of different places. I mean, on his high school highlight tape, he's not going to play safety, but he was playing safety. He was playing wide receiver. He was playing edge. So, I think we give him some time on the defensive side. Now, if people are going to talk about Kane Womack in terms of being the defensive coordinator. He's only 36 years old, just as we talked about Tommy Rees. I think out of anybody, this guy has probably more pressure than Kalen DeBoer. Think about that. Being the defensive coordinator at Alabama, and you're coming from South Alabama. Just saying. This was Coach Saban's defense. Kevin Still was here. T-Rob was here. People do not want to. You saw how people, and you know how people feel about Pete Golding. Okay? You know that. So Kane Womack coming in has a ton of pressure. It's to counter this offense, which is going to be ridiculous. Jalen Milroe, whoever is going to be the quarterback, the offense is going to put points on the board. I promise you. The defense, Kane has pressure. Can you show us your French bull? Yeah, we got the French Bulldogs up. But how can you judge Reese off Milroe's limited ability? That's not fair. What was interesting about Tommy Rees and Jalen Milroe is they were both new to the system, right? Tommy Rees being new with Alabama's offense, Jalen Milroe. So I think that definitely took them some time to come together. Look, when Tommy Rees went to the Browns, who was the first person to tweet like an emoji, like a heart with his photo and Tommy Rees? It was Ty Simpson. Did Jalen Milroe? I ain't hear Jalen Milroe say anything about Tommy Rees. I'm not saying that there was something behind the scenes, but I don't know. Maybe they just didn't mesh well. Who knows? I don't know. Do you think Milroe start? Talked about that inside the park sports card. What's up, man? Thanks for being here. I talked about that earlier. That's kind of like the lead question. Um, do we throw a freshman DB in the fire early so that yeah, I think so. And I've talked about this before, is the fact that a lot of these freshmen are going to be able to play sooner than later, which I think is a really good thing for Alabama's defense, because these guys they're already enrolled. So they'll be able to go a part of the fourth quarter program, which, by the way, starts next week. And then you have spring football, March and April, after spring break. They're going to get a lot of time. You get to work with the guys during the summer period. And then, I think one of the freshmen, if Alabama's going to bring someone in on the defensive side of the ball, if not one, if not two, if not three, right? Secondary. Jalen Milroe is a baller. So, Zay Mincy's a baller. Red Morgan's a baller, right? Peyton Woodyard. One of those guys is going to compete for a starting spot. I don't know which one. One of them will. Playing corner in the SEC as a freshman is a daunting task. Because when you're playing corner against anybody, in college football, it's the toughest position to play. If you're a freshman, you can come in. Like, Caleb Downs played safety, and that was challenging for him. To see what he did last year as a freshman is like crazy. Okay, the French Bulldogs. Milroe on the offense. Yeah, we talked about that. Do you see any players going both ways? Not in Travis Hunter type role, but maybe just to certain scenarios. I don't know. People were talking about Grimsley before he transferred to Florida. I think it was even Coach Sean that said he could play like both sides of the ball. I think Jalen Milroe could be that guy, but I think there's just too much talent at the wide receiver position, for there to be a need for a guy to play like a two-way role. But there's guys that certainly could. I just don't think that that'll happen. Any word on Michigan players transferring to Bama? Not yet. I haven't even really seen undefeated. Have you guys seen somebody from Michigan even hit the portal? I don't think I have. All right. Yeah. Do you see any players going both roles? All right. Let's see a couple more questions to roll through. I like how you take on Alabama's. I like to know your take on Alabama recruiting defense issues while playing. Noah Carter. I think I kind of got to that a little bit, Len, earlier. But I think with the 4-2-5, you definitely have to play. Yeah, you have to have players who are super athletic. You got to load up on the secondary. And I think the thing that we're probably losing sight of too a little bit on the defense is that I think Coach Kalen DeBoer recruited this team, like re-recruited the guys on offense pretty well. But like you'll start to see some of these 2025 commitments start to roll through. I don't know when. I know that Alabama's holding a junior day probably sometime in February. That'll be a good opportunity for them to continue to build up relationships with that 2025 group. Tyler asks, do you think Bama can afford to keep Milroe's athleticism on the bench if he can't do the passing game? I think of the 2007 like Florida. Talked about this. Tyler, what's up, man? I appreciate the question. I think if he doesn't keep the starting job, I don't think that he'll play. That's just my opinion. I don't, he's a quarterback. He wants to be a quarterback. He should be a quarterback. I think he'll be a quarterback in the NFL. And if you would have said that about Jalen Hurts a long time ago, people would have thought you were crazy. Look at what Jalen Hurts has been able to do in the NFL with the Eagles, right? I think the ceiling on Milroe is like so high. Do you think any of these players going both ways? Okay, we talked about that. Do you think the OCDC will be in the press box or the sidelines? I'm not sure. I like for the OC to be up in the box. The DC, I think, should be down on the field. That's just my personal take. Remember those race dogs before the LSU game? That was crazy. So automatic music. Thank you for bringing that up. So what you're talking about here is like we're watching the LSU game on TV, right? Like the TV was showing the game, and before the game, it was crazy because I didn't know that there was dog racing that was like on ESPN. These dogs were the fastest dogs I ever seen, and what they were doing is they were running like to one side. They would like hit a box and run back, and these dogs were fast AF. But then like a couple, I don't know, during the Rose Bowl, I saw that there was, it was through like the Canine Association. They were actually tracking the world's fastest dogs, and they were doing it by breed. And what was the fastest dog? It wasn't like a Visla. It wasn't even a Greyhound. Somebody beat the Greyhound. I can't remember. But these dogs were literally running. They had then they had a bulldog run, not a French bulldog, but like a bulldog. And I think the top speed for one of these dogs was like, I don't know, was it 42 miles an hour? It was crazy. All right, last question before I take your calls. Do you think Coach Kalen DeBoer will have to deal with crazy coaching turnover, or do you think that will be the fate of UGA now that Kirby is arguably the best head coach in college football? Yeah, I think he'll continue to deal with coaching turnover. I think he'll continue to deal with player turnover. Guys get paid. Guys get noticed at Alabama. I think that it's just a matter of time until Grubb is the next guy to go somewhere else. I mean, you're going to see this Alabama offense just rip through, put tons of points on the board. And I think that he will be a head coach. I think in terms of like guys going to Kirby, same thing. I mean, Michigan is probably going to be looking for a defensive coordinator. Everybody talking about, rating their staff. So, yeah, it's going to happen. Players are going to leave. Coaching staffs are going to be rated. That's just kind of the world that we live in. But all right. Thank you, chat. I appreciate you. The undefeated, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. A lot of questions. I didn't anticipate that many questions on Jalen Milroe, to be honest. And I think that kind of shows you where the fan base is with Jalen Milroe and the new coaching staff. And I think a lot of the questions around Jalen Milroe in the quarterback position. Honestly, I didn't anticipate that many questions about him, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, Tink says, run the thumbs up for sure. Appreciate you guys being here. 549. Will you guys take a pause? Will you guys hit the thumbs up on this video? Will you guys think about becoming a fan funder if you are not one? Hyperlink above, only $2.99. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the super chats as well. And when the coaches are on, supporting the coaches as well. How today is going to work, I'm going to take your calls. And then I'm giving everybody an opportunity to disconnect. I'm going to put it in chat mode. Chat mode is basically, it just becomes a chat, which allows me to come back as news happens. So if there's like major news, I'll pop back on the screen. But I want everybody to have a day to kind of, to rest, really. No, Ty. So Ty, tomorrow he is off because he's at a rodeo in Denton, Texas. Yeah, we'll ask him all about it when he comes. I don't even know if he's back on Tuesday. I'll have to follow up with him. Okay, T, can we get the call-in line on the screen? Okay. Call-in line is 205-850-1994. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate me this morning. January 28th. Feeling good. What's up, Lynn? I appreciate you. Keep it rolling. I'm headed to church. Enjoy your church service. Enjoy it. Soak it in. Get a good start. Hacker music. What you got, Hacker? Saying Milroe might not be the best quarterback this year is totally legit. Saying he wasn't the best quarterback last year is silly. Thanks for the feedback, Hacker music. All right, phone lines are open. We got a 205-850-1994. It's right on the bottom of the screen. I think we put it inside chat as well. All right. Okay. We got a 432 calling in. Hey, good morning. Thank you very much for calling.
Hey, Kyle. This is Paul. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Where are you calling in from, Paul?
Hey, this is Paul Bryant from Odessa, Texas. How are you, bud?
Paul Bryant from Odessa, Texas. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. Familiar with the Permian Basin as well. I have family in Lubbock, and then, as I've talked about many times, I'm from New Mexico, so I know about southeastern New Mexico and, being part of the Permian Basin. So I appreciate you calling in from Odessa, and welcome to the show, man. Feel at home. Take it away.
Yeah, so I kind of got, I've listened to your show many a times, okay? Subscribe. Big fan of the show. Listen to it all the time. I work on rental property, so it gives me something to listen to while I, work on things. And so I kind of got two questions. Been listening to the show. And do you feel that Jalen Milroe will have a better chance of being the starter, considering that, it seems to me that the team kind of builds around him as far as the offense, and him staying has kept this team together so well. So that's my first question. Okay.
Well, hold on, Paul, because people have a question for you, and I do too. Is your middle name Bear, like Paul Bear Bryant?
Yeah. So my name is. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. My name is Paul Bear Bryant Talley.
What?
And so my father was. I know. So I was born to be an Alabama fan. There was no choice. My father was a football coach in the South, and his best friend and childhood friend was Steve Sloan.
Wow.
Of Alabama,
yeah.
Which was one of Bear Bryant's. Yeah, it's crazy, and I got family that's gone there. I got family that's taught there. But being a football coach, when Steve Sloan went to coach at Texas Tech, he brought my father with him, and that's how my family made it to Texas.
Wow, that's
so long story.
Yeah,
short,
that's amazing.
That's how it all occurred. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's really great because I've seen a lot of games. Like I said, I got family that's gone there, family that's taught there, and so it's been a good 17 years with Coach Saban under the helm. So, but back to Milroe, like I was saying, I hear everybody talking about Milroe and this and that, about whether he should start or not start. My belief is he should start. I believe that he means a lot to the offense. I think we kind of saw that last year, that the offense really gathered around him. And then, Jalen had the chance to just say, you know what, new coach, somebody else will take me. But he's roll tide till he dies, so he stuck around for another year. And I really feel that Jalen Milroe sticking around really has helped keep this team together the best it could have been kept together. Because if you lose Milroe, you're not going to tell me that other, key offensive players or other defensive players don't leave. What are your thoughts about that? And then I'll get to the second question.
Yeah, on the line with Paul Bear Bryant from Odessa, Texas. I just had to say it. Like that's so awesome. I think you're absolutely right because he is the leader of this team. I think a lot of people that know the insides and outs of this team and the framework of this team, and I'm talking about the roster, like he is the leader. He is the alpha of this team overall. There was somebody who said that, I think it was actually Will the Scout that said that Jalen Milroe and Caleb Downs kind of had a run-in before he left. And I think a lot of that was about being, hey, are you a part of this team? Do you want to roll with this team? Or do you want to, are you going to leave? And yeah, I think it says a lot. And I think it had to do with a lot of the players kind of locking in, staying in. I'm telling you, I get it. There's a lot of people in the Undefeated, the chat. There's a lot of people out there that question his ability, and they have every right to do that, right? Because you look at where was the deep ball or where was his accuracy. You can go to the SEC game or the Rose Bowl. Those are some damn good defenses, and they did a really good job getting to him, specifically in the Rose Bowl. And I think that Georgia just played really well in the secondary. So people are going to question the quarterback, specifically when you look at the last couple of quarterbacks that rolled through Alabama. It's a Mount Rushmore of Alabama quarterbacks, but he is the leader of this team, and the team, the fans really love him, and the team loves him, and they're going to do everything that they can to build this offense around Jalen Milroe. There's a reason that Vegas has him as one of the top guys to win the Heisman Trophy. I think if everything goes their way, I think Jalen Milroe has a really dynamic season. I think last year he threw for 2,800 yards. Chat, Undefeated. Do you think he will throw for 3,000 yards this season? I want to hear from you now. 3,000 yards this season. All right, Paul, back to you.
Okay, so second question is, it's in regards to Coach Saban's role going forward in college football. My belief is that Coach Saban, in terms of what he's going to do on the behind the scenes for Alabama, there's no better, I guess you would say, spokesperson or, spokesperson for the University of Alabama than Coach Saban. So in terms of fundraising, I feel he's going to be very key in helping, trying to set up something, help build on the NIL sort of program like other schools have, with him at the helm of it on the back end to try to help with NIL and keeping players and giving speeches and helping with fundraising. I feel that that's what he's going to do, from his office at Bryant-Denny, that sort of a role, right? And I also believe, given all of his statements that's been made about NIL or even, the I guess you'd say like the phone receivers in the helmets and things like that. I think he looks across the landscape and sees chaos and thinks, if I step away from the program and I retire, perhaps I can use some of my influence to try to bring a lot more structure to what's been going on in college football in regards to NIL. Do you feel that that's going to be his role in college football as well as Alabama going forward, to try to bring structure to the chaos in terms of NIL and transfer portal and all these wild signing dates? I really feel like that's going to be his mission going forward since he's left.
I think that would be an incredible, like, his last legacy, right? It would be not only about what he did at Alabama, but what he did for college football. And I think right now, because he has such a magnitude of an audience, he is still super relevant. ESPN is dying to have him on their team. I think that if he uses his knowledge, his connections, I mean, clearly he's been kind of riding on this changing of the guards in college football, right? NIL, transfer portal. And we've kind of always, jokingly referred to him as the college football commissioner. If he can somehow get involved with that, I think that he has, because he's so brilliant as a business person, right? We look at him as a football coach, but I think like business mind and like also like for the greater good of college football, like people would trust in his philosophies. And I think that that would be an amazing lasting role. And I think if it isn't that, and he doesn't do that, then I think that helping Alabama facilitate the NIL and whatever, he can do here in that regard to help Alabama get in track on that, I think that will probably be something where he's utilized. But like he said, he's not going to just watch Netflix. And I guess that surfing video is like from, 4 years ago or something like that. So who knows? I know he's currently on vacation, but I think when he comes back and he's dialed in, I don't think he's just going to go play golf. I think he's going to have a lasting legacy that either continues to impact Alabama in some regard, or he's going to do something on the greater scale with college football. What else, Paul?
So my last one's just a statement. My belief is that with 1 or 2 years, I believe that Kalen DeBoer, we're going to see a replay of a wide receiver crew that we had in, I guess it was 2019, where we had a Ruggs, a Devontae Smith, we had a Jalen Waddle, and I know there's another gentleman I'm missing because there's so many, right? But you mark my words, with what his previous QB said on Twitter the other day, and you have this, Jalen Milroe will play, and then you'll have a battle come, 2025 for, who will start. But mark my words, in 2 to 3 years, we'll have another historic wide receiver crew. We'll have another historic QB crew, just like we had when we had Hurts, Tua, Jones. And on the receiving crew, who did we have? Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Who's the fourth one that was in there?
Smitty, right? No, so you had – so let's go over this. You had Smitty, no, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, right?
Judy. Yep, Judy was in there. So you had those four, and then you had those three QBs. In 2 to 3 years, give DeBoer time, we're going to have that again. And if you remember those numbers that they put up in the 2020 season, they were ridiculous.
Crazy.
And that's the kind of offense that he runs. I think that was under Sarkisian as an offensive coordinator. And so I've said it here, you got the receipt. In 2 to 3 years, you can always come back and say, Paul Bryant told me. But I feel we're in good hands, and I look forward to the season.
Save the number. I think when you call in like closer to the season or next week or whatever, like the name carries weight. So Paul Bear Bryant from Odessa, Texas has a nice ring to it. So save the number, keep calling in, enjoy the dialogue, and have a beautiful rest of your Sunday.
Okay, you as well, brother.
All right,
have a good day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you. Paul Bear Bryant, ladies and gentlemen, calling in from Odessa, Texas. Are you serious? That's crazy. I love it. All right, 973. I think this is our buddy Chris in New Jersey. Chris, what's up, man? Good morning to you.
Hey, Kyle, how are you? Happy Sunday to you, my friend.
Yeah, man. The only person that could outdo that, I guess, would be like Gene Stallings or Coach Saban himself. But man, that's crazy that we had literally Paul Bear Bryant from Odessa call. Crazy, wild.
I have to follow. Follow Bear Bryant. Wow, what a tough what a tough opener.
Oh man, welcome to the show, Chris. I appreciate it. Hope you're off to a great Sunday, man, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Well, I love your idea of some unplugging today, and I think what I've been doing is I've been doing some reflection on this whole past couple of weeks, and the more I think about this, the more I think that Alabama, all of us, the fan base, the university, they definitely got slick willied, and let me explain why. I think that, Saban always wanted to do things the right way. Quality, that's where the program is. Look at the hire. DeBoer is Coach KD is quality. And, that's why he announced his retirement when. It caused the perfect storm on Alabama getting sharks in the water. But, he said it in his interview. He was tired of, I'm sure every single parent and player when Saban was in that living room, were saying, "Are you going to be there for 4 years for my son's, or 3 years before he goes to the NFL?" And of course, Saban and the staff was saying, "Yes, yes, yes." But I think that Saban in the back of his mind was starting to realize that was going to be untrue, and he didn't. That's not Saban. So now let's fast forward to Michigan, who the more I think of Michigan, the worse I start to feel about their program. So when I say we got slick willied, is you notice that Harbaugh slow played the NFL, and why did he do it? Because he waited to the day that the players were enrolled in classes at University of Michigan, so they can't skip town like our guys did, and it burns Kyle. It really started to burn me up a bunch. Now they're going to get their comeuppance, and I'll tell you why. Because that the 3-game suspension that happened to Harbaugh last year was from the Big Ten. It was not from the NCAA, and we know that the NCAA is going to. I think they're going to bring down the hammer a lot worse than anybody thinks. And I think Harbaugh was potentially facing half a season suspension next year. I think because of Michigan as a whole, it wasn't just Harbaugh. The university, the athletic staff was complicit in this cheating. They were buying the guy plane tickets and et cetera, et cetera. So I think they're going to lose some scholarships, Kyle. So it's going to be delayed, but I think the Michigan. What's the opening day for the next portal? April
15th.
April 15th. You watch. We're going to have you should put Michigan watch on April 15th because I bet you it's not going to be as bad as Sayin and Caleb Downs and the others, but it's going to be pretty bad. I think that defensive lineman, that cornerback, I bet both of them gone. And I think their coach is that's a good idea to stem the early tide. I don't think it will in the long term. I think by the end of their spring practice that Michigan is going to be in a world of hurt, and they're going to get. What's going to happen to that guy in the first year? He's going to get run over by Ohio State, and maybe even lose this year. Finally, Franklin will get over the hump and beat Michigan. And they'll be calling for that. Watch that. Their fan base is so fickle. They'll be calling for that guy's head in one season. So, this is a good. I've been reflecting on this and saying, how did this happen to us? And this stuff is starting to really burn me up. And yeah, I've said it. I don't fault them. This is all about the money. I think you're right when you say Ryan Williams didn't come here for free. It is what it is, but now look, the players are enrolled and the tide is starting to come back in for Alabama. One last thing about Jalen Milroe, and this would be my prediction, is if he's the starter on day one next year, the America should watch out, because that means that he's mastered this new offense.
Yep.
And that the SEC is in trouble, and so is the country. And then Jalen Milroe will be Vegas. He'll be in the top 3 for winning the Heisman.
Yep.
And that's what I have to say on a Sunday, brother.
I appreciate it. You bring up in chat. They're asking. Michael's asking if they vacate Michigan's title, who gets it? It's got to be Washington. Can you imagine, like, if that was to go down, and then
I think they don't do that. They don't do that. They just leave it blank. For example, I don't know if I followed lacrosse because I played lacrosse way back in the day.
Yeah.
The one of the greatest teams in the history of lacrosse was the 1990 NCAA Syracuse team. They had those 2 famous brothers, the Gate brothers. And one of them got like a car loan signed by like the coach. I mean, it's bogus that they don't have that they vacated that thing, but they vacated it, and it's just empty. It's empty. So, I don't think they'll vacate because it'll make the NCAA look so bad. But like I said, you and I talked about this. There's going to be an asterisk, at least in all our minds, on the Michigan, championship. So.
All right. Well, good call, Chris. I know there's a lot to think about, and kind of like we're going to be watching everything about Michigan and to see what type of, hammer, if anything, comes from the NCAA. And I think a lot of that is going to come specifically with Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers. So a lot to dive into. Appreciate you calling this morning. Thanks for always calling in for your contributions. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday, and we'll catch up with you either on Monday, Tuesday, whenever you call in again.
Have a great day, Kyle.
All right, you too.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll Tide to you. That's Chris calling out from New Jersey. He's been on this. I know he's in, I guess, Big 12, Big 10, Big 14. How many teams are going to be in the new Big 10? Is it 14? Because he's up in New Jersey, right? You got Rutgers. All right, we have a 205, a 256, and 865. We'll get to our callers next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Let's take this 865. Hey, what's going on? You're online with Kyle Henderson. Who am I online with, and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle? It's Angel again from Pitch and Forge, man.
What's up, Angel? I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for being here, man. Welcome to the show. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with this first. Michigan's going to lose against Texas this year. Hate to say it, but they're going to beat Texas. Is going to beat them though. Sherrod Moore doesn't have what it takes, though, really.
I like that.
In national television when he was crying and everything. Come on, man. You gotta do better than that, man. But anyway, I think Alabama this year, we gotta have another alpha wide receiver. I'm not sure if it's gonna be Ryan Williams or whoever else or Jeremy, but we should get an alpha dog at springtime or whatever, because we missed Jermaine Burton, man. It sucked that way how he went out in the Rose Bowl. But, it is what it is. But I just can't wait to see what Coach DeBoer has in store, man, because if Penix said that he's good, man, then we're set for the next couple of years, or maybe 6 years maybe. I don't know how long he's going to stay, because I was looking at this Washington forum, and this guy was like, saying, everywhere he's been, he's going to leave in less than 2 years after that. And I'm like, you crazy, man. Not with the Alabama job, man, because he's going to stay there for a while. But, I'm not sure how that's going to work with the NIL now, because this is getting out of hand. Like, with all these players getting paid millions or almost millions of dollars, it is, I don't know, man. It's just terrible, man. NCAA it's too afraid to do something, What do you think about that, though? Like, if they're too afraid to do something.
I got a screenshot. Yeah. It's not a screenshot alert. I'm just bringing up a graphic to have in the background because I saw this interesting tweet. Chris brought up a great point. Is like it was the Big Ten who went after Harbaugh. The NCAA, we haven't even seen what they're going to do. The NCAA acts so slow. That's why I knew that there was going to be no ramifications up until the championship game. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. Like, nothing was going to stop Michigan from making the playoffs, and eventually they're able to win. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think, it could be even drawn out past this coming season, right? It could be like, I mean, maybe we find out for like it impacts like 2025 and 2026. But yeah, I think it's going to be really slow in terms of, any type of movement from the NCAA or what happens. Angel, hold on. Let me put it on this tweet that I saw earlier today. This is from the College Football Report. By the way, chat, I wanted to ask you about this. They asked, where is it? Oops, sorry. Let's see if I can get that to you guys. Let's see. So I saw this on Twitter. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. Angel, and I'll ask you too. This is from the College Football Report. They have a pretty funny, it's pretty good, I guess. But they ask, which of these head coaches will win a national title first? Sark, Dan Lanning, Coach Kalen DeBoer, or Ryan Day? Huh. Those are kind of like the up and coming coaches. I love that. Anyways, Angel, who wins that one? I mean, you're probably going to say Alabama, but besides Alabama, okay, let's just take Alabama out because, Alabama show.
Yeah.
But Sark, Lanning, or Ryan Day, and then you could make your final point. But what do you think in terms of who wins a title first out of those guys?
I think Sarkisian, man, because that coach is a baller, man. Like he's done so well after he learned from Nick Saban. But I give me Texas on that because I think Texas is a better team than Ryan Day because Ryan Day can't get it done really on the big games because he's known to choke those games.
I think
first started against Alabama in 2020 national title game. But yeah, give me Texas on that.
Yeah, I think 100% Texas. I mean, outside of Coach Kalen DeBoer, I don't think Oregon has what it takes overall in terms of talent. I think last year a lot of it was because they were in the Pac-12. I didn't think that they were going to be one of the top teams. He's a great coach for sure. I don't think they're going to win a national title. And I think Ryan Day, I don't think that he can get the job done, even with all these transfers. It's going to be hilarious. This is reminding me of when Texas A&M loaded up on all those players, right? They bought their entire recruiting class and they couldn't win. I think the exact same thing is going on. Bill O'Brien's their OC. And they just got Seth.
Terrible, man. They're gonna lose.
For sure, 100%. So Sark with Texas, but here's the problem with Sark coming in. The SEC is like an extreme gauntlet, and it processes coaches. Texas didn't used to be like there. So that's going to be, the challenge for Texas just coming over here to the SEC and continuing that high level performance. But I think NIL, since they have pockets and since they beat Alabama last year, they have so much momentum. Anyways, Angel, make a final point, man, before I move to my next caller.
Yeah. I think Oklahoma is going to not make it so good in the SEC quarterback wise, but they got a good defense. And also Kalen DeBoer, man, he's undefeated against Dan Lanning and Sarkisian.
Yep,
I think Sark should win first out of those three guys. But just give me a DeBoer on that because he's about to wreak havoc because I believe they got it right with the head coach.
Yeah,
I like what he's doing right now. I like how he didn't bring his staff over from the defensive side of the ball because that was atrocious, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope DeBoer learns from Nick Saban to know this job ain't taken lightly, and it's a very serious job. But that's all I have to say on that part for today.
All right, Angel. Well, thanks for calling in from Pigeon Forge, man. Hope you enjoyed up there. I'm sure it's beautiful. I mean, I love going up there, man. I need to get up there again. So, anyways, man, thanks for calling in, and I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Angel.
Roll Tide, man.
All right, roll Tide to you. That's Angel calling in from Pigeon Forge. Eddie asks, hey, Kyle, with Muhammad going to Oregon, that was yesterday, is there a DB in the portal that we may be looking at? Yeah, I think there's probably several, but I think the majority of those guys are guys we haven't even thought of yet because they'll probably hit the portal on April 15th. So I think that's when you go shopping again. And this is a rule that has been put in place by the NCAA or by the SEC. Is this second portal window that comes up, you can't go into the portal for guys that are from the SEC. It's like completely ridiculous. So you have to go elsewhere. But I think, adding from the portal will certainly be something that Alabama has to do on the defensive side of the ball specifically. We go back to the phone lines with the 256. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, what's up, Kyle, man? It's Tank.
Hey, what's up, Tink? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show. I hope you're off to a really good Sunday, man. Come with it, man. Welcome on in and feel at home.
Yeah. Likewise. Hope the fam's doing good this Sunday also. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the points you had up there about Milroe and the team. And I'll tell you this, man. I went to that South Florida game last year in Tampa, and it was very, very obvious that they was sending a message to Coach Saban. And I mean, man, I watched Dallas, I watched J.C. Latham, I watched all these first rounders just kind of like jogging around. You could tell they didn't even want to be there, and it might even been the damn game that made Saban retire. I mean, it was hard to watch. It really, really was. And I feel like we overachieved a little bit last year. And but I seen just in that game, like, you could see how much the team rallies around Milroe. And I feel like with Grubb, I honestly feel like there is a really good chance he could win the Heisman. You know, we haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in like 3 years, I think, maybe 4. So I'm really excited about, you know, the new guys coming in, and anybody that's a wide receiver in 25, 26, 27 going forward, all of them should be wanting to come to. I know the caller earlier said something about a few years will be like when we had Smitty and Judy and all them. And I mean, all you got to do is listen to Penix, what he said, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to come to Bama. But one more quick thing. I am wondering how this is going to go, man, for DeBoer, because I feel like if he wins early, you know, I feel like people's going to say, oh, it was because it's Saban's kids, you know, and I feel like it's going to be opposite if he loses. Oh, he couldn't even win with Saban's recruits. So I hope he's kind of got some thick skin, man, because I honestly feel like he's going to do really big things for us.
Yeah.
But I'll let somebody else call in, and y'all have a great Sunday, and roll tide, roll, Bama Nation stronger than ever, baby.
All right, Tink calling in. Appreciate it, man. It's a lot of good energy from Tink right there. I appreciate you, Tink. I hope you have a really good Sunday. Good points to hit on. And I think when you look to, I mean, Coach KD's in a very difficult spot. I mean, super challenging being the guy after the GOAT, right? And that's a really good point. It's like you win 11 games, you're like, well, those were all Saban's guys. You lose, 2 games. You lose a game, you're like, oh, this guy can't do it. So you're in a really challenging position. Brought up a really good point on the South Florida game. I was at that game. That game had the worst. We talk about energy a lot on this show. It was like that game had the worst energy, had no momentum. It was nobody wanted to be there. I'm not even sure why I went down there. I think it was like the beginning of the season. I was excited to go. And then that was the game that Tyler Buckner started. Like everything was weird about that game. And then even if you remember to the television broadcast, they like zoomed, like their camera stopped working. It was soaking wet. I just asked T to get a graphic up of Coach Saban during that game. Do you remember how Coach Saban looked at that game? He looked like he was 150 years old. I don't know if that look at that. That was the exact, thank you, T. And this is by AL.com took this photo. I think there's a video of him on AL.com actually on their YouTube channel. Look at that. That game sucked. I mean, seriously. So, I think it was grueling. He said in the interview that it was grueling. Right? Like that game sucked. That game was grueling. I don't know if you guys seen this before, but it was soaking wet. It rained forever. The game sucked. It was tied at halftime. They are just coming off a loss to Texas. Yeah. Man, on that photo, when I saw that photo, I was like, oh, snap. Yeah, so and I don't know, like you playing against South Florida, you knew that Alabama, or at least on paper, you felt that they were just going to run right through them. And then it was just kind of going back and forth. And then I even tweeted at one point, I was like, put Jalen in and let's get the hell out of here. Because you had Tyler go in. He couldn't do anything. Then you had Ty Simpson come in. And thank goodness he was able to lead Alabama to a victory. But that game was terrible. That it was either the quarterback or the running back. Someone ran over Caleb Downs. That by the way, that coach is good. He was the same coach that beat Alabama a couple years ago when he was the OC at Tennessee. So he's coming back. Don't take them lightly. TJ Finley, Western Kentucky, and then with that offensive mind coming in from South Florida, yeah, Alabama should be heavily favored in those opening games, but I don't know. TJ Finley's a big dude, and then this South Florida offensive mind, they can punch above their weight for sure. All right. Thanks, T. We can go back to the headlines. That's just one of those photos that is always, and it just looked terrible. Thank you, T. I really appreciate it. All right, 205, let's get it. All right. Good morning. You're on the show with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. How you doing? This is Mike in Trustville.
Mike, I appreciate you calling in from Trustville. Thank you very much for joining the show. I hope you're off to a great Sunday, and welcome on into the show. Take it away.
So when you were mentioning Saban at that game and how tired and old he looked, I pulled up a video where they're walking down the tunnel back to the locker room. Goodness gracious. He looked like a whooped dog.
Yeah.
I had not seen that. I had not seen that go viral until you mentioned it. I looked it up, and I was like, oh, my gosh. Poor guy.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the reason I called. I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store just waiting for spring ball and fall to see all the talent that we have be utilized on offense. Guys like Kendrick Law, who I think has amazing talent, just never got the ball enough. Justice Haynes. There's a good chance this Caleb Odom could come in as a freshman and get some time. I mean, we have a lot of pieces for Coach DeBoer to work with, and I am pumped. Who do you think could be the biggest impact? Who do you think could be the biggest impact player outside of quarterback on that offense?
Justice Haynes.
Yeah.
Or Parker Brailsford.
Good point. That's a good one.
Parker Brailsford. Justice Haynes, honestly. And that's no disrespect to like Richard Young or to Jam Miller or the two freshman running backs who just came in. I just think that Justice Haynes is ready to shine. He's ready for it. And having him as a featured running back, and I can't even imagine, Mike, can you imagine Justice Haynes with like 20 carries? 15, 12. Like,
scary.
Thank you.
I swear to goodness, he reminds me of Emmitt Smith.
That, and I had asked a lot of people before. I don't know how we got, we were talking about that. I asked the same question, and a lot of people said Emmitt Smith. His footwork, and I asked him about this during the Rose Bowl. I had an opportunity to talk with him one-on-one, and his footwork is second. Like, it is incredible. Like some of the best footwork that I've ever seen from any of the running backs. Like here at Alabama, since I've covered the team since 2016. There's some pretty good running backs. I know the great running backs were before my time, but still, he has it. And I think when you think Washington's offense, you think of this high potency offense that just throws the ball all around the field. Pretty balanced. I mean, the running back I think ran for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. So having that type of threat, and then having Jam Miller also be utilized. Sometimes, you're a kid in a candy store talking about Ryan Williams, Hampton coming in, Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice, Emmanuel Henderson, right? I don't know what's going to happen with the offensive line. That's the one area that I don't really know. I'm like, I have all these guys. I have the chart. I don't know where these guys are going to play at. I don't know if Tyler Booker is going to stay at guard or move to tackle, if Jaden Roberts is going to stay at guard, move to tackle. I don't know. I even saw Rock Montgomery in his profile picture. He's snapping the football. And I say that because Parker Brailsford played 2 games at guard last year for Washington. I don't know. But I do know this. Scott Huff led that group last year to win the Joe Moore Award. So, you have the pieces in place, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if they go into the transfer portal and bring in someone from the offensive line, specifically at tackle. Right?
I agree. He does not have to have this offensive line win that award, but we have to have improvement to give a quarterback, a running back, an opportunity to be successful. And last year, oh my gosh, all the words I said at the TV with all the sacks and all that, it was a rough year for me.
I know.
But hey, I really enjoy your show. One more thing.
Yep.
NIL.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bleed over to basketball real quick. There was an issue with the Alabama-Auburn basketball game beforehand with the lights going out, et cetera. It's an old stadium. This also affects football and all the other sports at the university. How do you see NIL impacting these future build-outs? There's only so much money. I mean, where we have X amount of millionaires that give money, Texas and Texas A&M have many, many, many more. They can go further down the line to get money for extra things. Is it a concern?
That's a really good question, because I know, everyone's out. Like even Bruce Pearl kind of threw a jab after the game about, Nate Oates wanting the Coliseum, right? That was kind of like a passive-aggressive comment, basically being like, you guys can't even afford a new stadium. That's what he was saying, or a new arena. That's exactly what he was saying. Seriously.
Absolutely.
That's a really good question. Yeah. How much money is kind of in the tank that you can do like a Coliseum? Alabama's not broke, but until they get like a hold of the NIL, in my opinion, right now, their focus is on getting players to the football team is like their number one job. Maintaining a high level of recruiting, paying these guys whatever they're getting paid. That is where their focus is, because let's face it, the football team and Coach Saban, they drive the overall economy in Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely,
like 1,000,000%. It goes far more than like you have to win here to keep this city like on the map. Period. What Coach Saban has done here in the city of Tuscaloosa, like some of these zip codes, I mean, it's incredible what he's done to Tuscaloosa. And a lot of that is directly tied into winning games on the field. So, having a nice Coleman Coliseum would be great for all the deserving Alabama basketball fans. And Nate Oates, I mean, he's done an amazing job coming in. Greg Byrne, knocked it out of the park right there. But I think in terms of like getting the players, that's much more, kind of where the focus is in terms of other than the Coliseum. But who knows? I mean, maybe there's more money than we're thinking about. I don't know. But you got to pay the players, or else you don't have a football program. And if this football program falls off the rails, I mean, that's, we know what, people have been there before. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, Kyle. Hey, man, I appreciate your show, and looking forward to continue to listen to you in the future.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, man. Call in again next time. All right.
Bye.
Good call. That was Mike out in Trustville. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Look, if there's trolls in the message board, there's going to be trolls on like any message board, whatever. You can just block them. Just hit the block screen. I don't really like deal with the trolls. It's just like, I got other things that are on my mind, so I don't really like put my energy towards that. I put my energy towards you in the show, and I hope you guys can see that, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Hey, T, can you send me on a Messenger with that some of those graphics that I've requested? I appreciate you guys being here on Bama Football on YouTube. I know there's a lot of places where you can get your content, but thanks for rocking with me today. What I'm asking you guys to do is keep Bama Football on YouTube in mind when news breaks. And what I'm really asking you to do is enjoy your Sunday. Unplug a little bit. Go eat breakfast. You're going to church, go to church. Going to lunch, go to lunch. Do your thing. Make your family a priority. And I said this before, like the other day at my workout, someone told me that in 20 years, the only people that are going to remember that you worked late are your kids. And that hit. So I'm a dog. Like I could do the call-in show all day long. I could work all the time, but I'm working on the balance within myself to make sure that I can deliver a high quality content here on YouTube, but also be a father, right? Take care of, everything that I have going on in my life. And it's a learning process, and I'm definitely up for the challenge, right? Job's not finished, not perfect, but I definitely got to continue to, build out this business plan so we can continue to deliver the content that you deserve right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So I'm asking you to disconnect, to chill, and if news happens, come back here to Bama Football on YouTube. I got the coaches. I'm giving them off today. They will be back tonight at. I'm giving them. I asked them. I was like, "What do you guys want to do in terms of the overall philosophy?" So I have the coaches coming back tonight on the late tip, but I think we'll just do like 2 hours. But today, unplug, relax, chill, and got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube. Back as news happens. Right here on those look good, T. I appreciate. Let's go with that. Let's see. Yeah, welcome to the live chat. Back as news happens with the thermometer on the right. Yeah, let's do that. Have a beautiful day, fam. Chill. Enjoy the NFL games. Ignore the trolls. Put your energy into your family, to your work, your workout, everything. I got you covered. And when news happens, I got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube. Before I go, on Twitter, Bama YouTube. And then on Instagram, Mr. Kyle Henderson. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the support, fam. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Thank you for being a fan funder. Let's get those numbers up. Oh, before I go, could I ask you guys something? I was listening to a podcast last night about business. I actually heard T. She's our producer in the back. She's getting her master's class. And the podcast was talking about kind of like the word of mouth about your business product. So if you could review this YouTube channel, and I'm asking you to do this, whatever social media platform you have, get the hyperlink to either this video or to Bama Football on YouTube, and just share one time on your Facebook page, on Instagram, take a screenshot, whatever, and tell them Bama Football on YouTube, and tell them why you're over here on Bama Football on YouTube. If you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Trying to build this up as much as we can. And if you guys, you guys are fan funders, would you please tell other people about Bama Football on YouTube? I would really, really appreciate that. I hope you have an amazing day. Joe Johns, thank you for the super sticker. Disconnect, chill, enjoy the chat, and know that we're back as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Enjoy yourself.